and pursue my master's in business analytics. And I've been having a great time here, and definitely recommend you guys to learn a little bit more and check out Wake Forest.
That was great, Andrew. I'll go next. My name is Jacob. I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina. I went to NC State and got a Bachelor of Science Economics. I'm currently in Winston-Salem. I live off campus, so if you have any questions about living or housing outside of the campus offerings, please ask.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt Jones. I went and did my undergraduate at the University of South Carolina. My degree was in accounting. I knew I had to go to graduate school because I'm trying to be a CPA. So you have to have 150 credit hours, but I wanted to differentiate and do something other than more accounting. So that's what brought me to the MSBA program. I've really enjoyed it and I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I'm Dylan McCullough. I'm originally from Dothan, Alabama, and I also, like Andrew, went to a small liberal arts for undergrad. I went to LaGrange College, got my undergrad degree in marketing and entrepreneurship, got a minor in math as well. And that minor of math kind of piqued my interest to go to Wake and get the Master's of Science, Business Analytics. So, yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, guys. So we can kind of just jump right in, and I'll just say this. I have a couple of questions that we can move through, but at any point, if you have a question for these guys, feel free to just drop that in the chat and we'll get those answered. We even have a small enough group too. So if you even want to take yourself off mute, we're happy to invite you to do that as well. But we can kind of just kick off on student experience in the classroom and professors. The first one being thinking about, this year has been hybrid more than anything, and we're probably going to see a little bit of that in the summer term for maybe some of our students who aren't able to come to campus right away. That being said, I wonder if you guys could just touch on a little bit access to professors, both in person and online. What is that like in the MSBA program?
Yeah, I can go first for that. I think that was kind of one of my main concerns coming into this program. You hear everything about how colleges have to prepare, and then it's hard enough getting in touch with professors usually when things are good. So, just trying to see how Wake Forest would deal with it. And I got to say that it's been pretty seamless. Professors here are super open to, contacting students, whether it be a quick email about, a stock going up or down in the market, or whether it be just a quick question that you have about a job or something that's going on in the classroom. So I think that transition from, hybrid to kind of in-person classes and keeping in touch with your faculty, super easy.
Yeah, and my experience, I probably was most in contact with professors in the summertime. So like July, August. I moved to Winston-Salem in the summertime, and it was during like quarantine and everything, so I didn't really know anybody. And so I joined there's like a newsletter that goes out to all the students, and so like sign up for like a study group. So I signed up for the statistics class study group because I needed it. And then also like hit up the TA for like lab hours because even though I had the math minor, I definitely never coded before. And so the TA was really helpful for all my new questions that I had in the summertime. So.
Yeah, I agree with everything really Andrew and Dylan said. And then what I'd also say is they're really helpful if you want to work on things outside of school as well. Like I sometimes bring things to them that are maybe related in concept to things we talk about in class, but not specific class assignments. And they're always like super excited to help. So I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, not to beat a dead horse or anything, but it's really a small group of teachers, student, faculty. We're a small program at the end of the day, which is really nice because they're there for you. And there's not enough students, or we're small enough class where they'll talk to you whenever they're reachable. They're always there, and they're excited to get to know you, especially in this hybrid setting where we're not in class every single day necessarily. They're more inclined, more excited to get to know you and want you to reach out. So highly encourage getting to know your professors.
Yeah, that's what we've really heard from the recruiting side of it. So I'm glad to hear that that's been your guys' experience as well. Dylan, I'm really glad that you kind of brought up the kind of varied experience coming into the program. A lot of times we get students that may have maybe not a coding background or computer science background. And so they're a little worried about coming in with maybe limited coding or language experience. And you guys have a wide variety of backgrounds as well. So curious, some students that are coming in with that lack of experience, what would you say to them? And how can they prepare for that coming into the program?
There we go.
Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
Dylan, if you want.
Yeah, okay, I'll take it. Yeah, so like going into the summertime, I signed up for like Code Academy. It was like $20 a month, and it was definitely worth it. And just did like those training videos just to like get myself familiar with it. I would probably, after going through the program, I would recommend like a data camp subscription. Go ahead and it's like $20 a month. Like start now, and if you just do like one lesson a day, you'd be surprised how prepared you'd be come summertime. So really that pre-work is on you, but just a little bit will go a long way. So.
And to kind of expand on what Dylan said, I definitely think that Data Camp is a really good resource for if you want to expand on what's taught in the program and also kind of start to learn things yourself. I think that our class, we take an art class, it's one of the first classes we have in the program. It is really good about kind of preparing you for everything you'll have to do later on. But if you really want to learn coding and use the skill professionally, you'll probably want to use resources like Data Camp to kind of supplement that education.
Yeah, and just to help on that as well, there's also this like 1-week boot camp that is offered right before classes start in the summer. Personally, I didn't do it. I think I missed the deadline by like a week. But I know a lot of people who did do it, and with their first time experiencing R or any kind of coding language, that really helped them get a grip on, what we'll be doing kind of the majority of the year. And it's a little bit smaller of a class. So you get pretty one-on-one teaching with, I believe it's Dr. Ames, who is just a fantastic resource here. So yeah, along with LinkedIn Learning, definitely that bootcamp that Wake offers is a great kind of resource for you.
Yeah, and just in case you happen to not be good at code, like I did data camp before, got a great certificate, it looks great on a resume, fun to do. But even if you're not great at code, you go through this program, you're in the summer, getting worried, you're like, oh man, like I'm not getting R too well or SQL later on or all these different platforms. You're gonna have your peers and everybody has their strengths. You may not coded before. I coded in undergrad. Let's say Andrew might not have at Lyco or Dylan at LaGrange. You never know. But that's part of the program, is learning to kind of emphasize your talents and your strengths and leverage your teammates. So just keep that in mind. Don't get too worried or in your head about coding at all coming into the program.
That's awesome. Thank you. Andrew, I'm glad you brought up the boot camp. That's another upcoming information session we'll have with Dr. Cam. So he'll kind of go over all the perks of that, as well as the deadline, right? Not to pick on you. So great. So I'm glad you talked, Jacob, a little bit about that kind of leaning on your peers a little bit. And that really becomes evident in the practicum project with the way the groups are formed. You guys are in full swing of practicum projects. So hopeful that you guys can maybe speak on the teamwork that goes on in that experience.
Yeah, so
You got a minute.
okay, yeah, so I literally have my practicum final presentation tomorrow, so I can kind of speak on it a little bit, but it's a like 8 or 9 month process of working with your team. Like you meet them in the first semester in the program, and you have to work together for pretty much the entire time. So it's definitely important to have like a working relationship with your team, but at the same time, everybody's team is a lot different. So it's kind of tough to know exactly what you'll be doing beforehand. Some projects are very low data, some are very high data, and it just kind of depends. But it's all a really good experience.
Yeah, just to build off that, the whole idea of the practicum is to get you guys real world experience with a real company, using real data, tackling a real world problem that hopefully they're going to implement It's a really special idea and kind of experience we get here. Everybody has something different, and at least with your team and your teammates, it's going to be like in a real work environment. You might not be friends with them. Hopefully you are. Hopefully you guys get along, but at the same time, you're going to be working with them for solid 8 months or so, 6 months, whatever it might be, with real companies, real supervisors, people who are getting paid to do this. So it's a once in a lifetime kind of educational opportunity you get here. So really take control of that.
Yeah, I think I can go. I have to watch what I say because one of my practicum members is actually in this call. What's up, Dylan? But no, I think to speak on what Jacob just said, you know, you really do get to become pretty close knit with your team. I mean, unfortunately, with Dylan and my team, a few of us were all over the place. We had one person who is in Chicago, one person who's still over in China, and then 3 of us in Winston. So it was a really great opportunity to, you know, build those relationships both virtually and in person as well. Dylan and I had multiple classes together. So just building that camaraderie and that, you know, team morale, both over our practicum project, but also outside of it, you know, grabbing lunch together, doing anything along that line. It provided a really great experience. And I think, especially with Dylan and my client, we were definitely on the low end of data side, but a lot of it was, you know, critically thinking about the problem at hand, really trying to analyze those relationships that we have as a team, but also with our client and how to navigate those potential obstacles that come along the way. All of it is really transferable to basically any single type of job that you go into.
Yeah, me and Andrew were on the same team. I think, like he was saying, our practicum doesn't have too much data. I mean, there is data, of course, because that's what it is. But it's like in terms of like compared to other teams, it's really not near as hard. So like sometimes we just hop on a call with our client and talk about March Madness or the hockey game from the night before. And last week it was the Masters. So it's, you know, if nothing else, you get to manage expectations with clients and then just get used to like a client facing role, which maybe you know, you didn't have experience with before. So.
And just one thing to add too is, you know, how we pick our practicum projects is really unique. I think it's kind of like almost like a draft where every team is on a wheel, and then it's basically luck of the draw of how you get your thing. So luckily, Dylan and I got like a top 10 pick, and we were really happy with that. But yeah, you know, any way to build fun. And I think during normal times it's held in the auditorium and they make like a fun night out of it. So hopefully you guys get to experience that next year.
Absolutely. I'm just going to answer in the chat. We got a question about how the teams are formed. So those are assigned teams. It's not something that you're going to form yourselves among your peers. And the idea is to have really balanced teams, considering backgrounds, skills, experience, things like that. And we do have an alumni on the call, Zoe, hello. I'm curious, while we're on the subject of practicums, if you could just maybe introduce yourself and then shed a little bit of light on your practicum experience and how that's affecting your full-time role and prepared you for that.
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. This is Zoe. I graduated from the MSBA program last year, so last May. And now I joined the Krispy Kreme Donuts Corporation as a reports BI developer in the IT team. So my daily job responsibility now is to utilize SQL and some coding and like Oracle. That's very niche to the Oracle companies, another tool to build reports. So like all the tools I just mentioned, the SQL and coding such as R, are all like part of our coursework in the MSBA. So the MSBA coursework contains a lot of the technology side, will make you flow smooth to your next job after graduation. And yes, I loved our coursework and it helped me to find my current role in Krispy Kreme. So about practicum, that's like my favorite part about MSBA program. At that time, I was working with a team of 5, like all MSBA classmates. As Susan just mentioned, we are assigned to be in the same team. We didn't choose the teammates. And then me and my teammates was working for the Volvo Financial Service, the group is in the Greensboro. So that's a good point. Sometimes my teammates and I drove to Greensboro to chat with them, have meetings with them. Like especially one time we drove there at 6 p.m. and we stayed there until 11 p.m. because at that time we were doing a kind of coding marathon with the VFS, their team too. So we were trying to figure out using this around 5 hours, how many problems can we solve? How much process can we push in this project? So that's also a very interesting process. And I was always amazed by those, like how the VFS team, I mean, the vendors, our from another companies, those people, they are willing to help us to develop both our business and technology skills in this practicum. So that's another very good point about practicum. And I remember like we have virtual meetings with the VFS team every week. And we went to their campus once in 2 weeks. So we do have a lot of communication with them. In that process, I also gathered more experience in business, like emails, how to write a business emails, how to convey my information into bullets, into a very clear and simple way. So besides the technology, the coding part, the practicum helped me in the business, in communication part. So that's the best part. And the practicum is my best part that I like in the MSBA program. Yep, thank you.
Thank you very much. So Zoe talked about the practicum. You guys all touched base on that a little bit. Appreciate your insights. But again, it's just one part of the program. If you guys wouldn't mind sharing maybe a class that has stood out to you so far in your experience, that would be wonderful.
For me, probably my favorite class wasn't really a class, more of two teachers, and Dr. Balin and Mike Ames. They both coding heavy, stats heavy. I come from a Bachelor of Science in Economics background. That's my bread and butter. But both of them were so personable, so easy to talk to, so reachable. They probably had the biggest impact on my time here, just because those were the first two teachers I encountered, and then I got to have them again in the fall. And it was just a really nice experience, kind of cohesive. But that was machine learning, and I think that was business analytics. Maybe one of the other guys remembers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was called predictive analytics, but I agree with Jacob. It was such a good experience how the two teachers taught together, and it built a lot directly on the types of R concepts we learned in the summer classes. So I really enjoyed those classes as well. Additionally, we're in a class right now, financial and risk analysis, and I really enjoyed that class as well, especially as someone who has a lot of interest in accounting, finance type concepts. I really appreciated it, and I've been enjoying it a lot this semester.
Yeah, I think my two classes stem from the same professor. There's a professor called Dr. Claggett who teaches database management, so learning about SQL, and analytics in society. Now, they are basically polar opposites of classes. SQL is a lot of coding. It's more puzzle solving, creating your database. And then analytics in society is basically teaching us, what are the ethical and non-ethical ways that we can use data, since it's so prevalent in, the workplace now. The way that she teaches classes, really well done in my book. She keeps it fun, she keeps it entertaining. It's very interactive as well. So whether you have her in person or virtual, she does a great job with class and just making sure that it's a fun, easy way to learn.
Yep, I will also shout out to our Professor Balin. She's so great. I mean, in her course about teaching us SAS, every time I bring a very small or tricky problem to her, she can answer my questions immediately. So I really learned a lot from Professor Balin. And I'll also shout out to our Professor Lee. He told us about the digital marketing, digital analytics class. So there's one thing we did in the course. for the Google and for the Google analytics, for the Google commercials, every company need to bid for the price to get the commercials on the searching record. And so our whole class get into that campaign. We work on that like 8 rounds in the campaign, and we work on it every week. So every round we will know our rank, who compete to be the number 1 in our course, who get the most correct prices. And that is so interesting. I really need to dig into those data to find out the patterns, like which slogan, which commercial, or which products really drives my company's rank into the front, really drives our commercial revenue to be the highest. And that's very interesting, very relating to the real life business. If you are interested in digital marketing, digital analytics, that is a very good course.
Yeah, Zoe, if you could give me the cheat codes to that simulation, that'd be great. I definitely haven't performed that well in the past 2 weeks. But yeah, it is a fun class though. I was a marketing undergrad. I do enjoy the simulation, but not doing well right now. So throw one up for your boy. Probably my favorite classes so far, I guess in the entire program now, it's coming to an end, were machine learning. I wasn't very good at it, but it was fun. And so it was really cool to learn machine learning. And then probably financial and risk analysis, big stock guy. So it's a pretty fun class. Yeah.
Awesome. So one of the classes you guys take early on in that summer semester is your career class with Sharon Vogler and other career coaches. One of the biggest questions we get is what does that look like working with market readiness and employment? So if you guys wouldn't mind kicking off, maybe telling us a little bit about the class and then what the experience has been like all the way through. And Zoe, especially your experience after, that process of landing a job.
I'll go first, I guess, real quick about the MRE, at least the class in the summer, super helpful. If you've never really done a resume or you just kind of did a resume really quick in your time in undergrad, maybe for this program or another job, they help you with everything. They build you up from the base. Could not recommend them more highly. They're so supportive. They have amazing connections, more than you think you will ever get. Sharon Vogler seems to know everybody everywhere. It's ridiculous, but they're so good. They're so helpful, and they're there with you the entire time. I was lucky enough to secure a position before the end of fall, so my experience with them kind of ended there, but they were there throughout the process, even during my negotiations and kind of figuring out, is this a good offer? They were still there, and they continually still, I know if I needed them, they'd be there. So cannot recommend them highly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to hop off what Jacob said, they're super helpful, and just the connections that you can make with them are fantastic. And one of the main things that we do is networking. So you have to find 3 Wake alumni and basically have informational interviews with them. So they're about 15-20 minutes long, figuring out what they do on a day-to-day basis, how they see the company, what helped them from our program over into their job now, and just any tidbits of advice. And even if you don't choose to go down one of those informational interview pathways, like for me, I did one in financial advising and financial analytics. After that phone call, I realized that it wasn't for me. So then I was like, okay, at least I learned something from there. And then you can easily switch up your path. And it's early enough too, where you have another, 6 to 8 months where you can really bunker down and figure out what exactly is right for you. So it's a great class. Loved it. Really, you get to meet a lot of nice people with it.
Yeah, they pretty much just coach you up. They look over your resume, what could be added to it, and then how to write your resume in the future, as you do more projects and learn more things, how you would update your resume to make it look good, and all those good things. They help you with your LinkedIn to make your LinkedIn look nice. And I'm blanking right now. Oh, I can't say enough about our career coaches though. I'm assigned to Sally. And so like I'm still on the job hunt right now, but it's gonna be okay because Sally says it is. Like she's like my number one cheerleader, so supportive, so encouraging. And so if it's good news or bad news, I'll just hop on email, message Sally, we'll hop on a Zoom call and just talk about it. So yeah.
It's funny how every coach kind of has their own style. I think Sally and Marcus are your cheerleader coaches, but Sharon's one of those tell it to you real straight kind of coaches, which it's a good combination to have access to. Perfect. Well, I know another question that we get a lot is, why choose graduate school versus going straight into, the workforce? Why add an extra year onto your experience? I'm curious if you guys can. Oh, actually, can we rewind? My apologies, Zoe. I didn't get your response either. Sorry, and you're working full time, so that's super valuable.
Yep. So is that the previous question, the question for the career coach?
Yeah. Yep. Sorry. Yeah.
No worries, no worries. So Sharon was my career coach. She helped me really a lot. Firstly, I had a lot of practice interviews with her. She helped me no matter it's like phone interviews, face-to-face interview, or virtual interviews. Like I can directly book an appointment on Handshake, a website that our university used to search for jobs. I booked an appointment with her over the website, and we had a meeting. So really, I had tons of practice interviews with Sharon. She really helped me to correct my answers, look into like the tons and what words I should use in the interview, very detailed level, and she was super helpful. And the second thing is, except for the interviews, Sharon also helped me to connect with professionals in the workplace. When I told Sharon that maybe I'm interested in consulting or other industry, like especially some companies, when she has a contact over there and there's like job opening there, she will email me directly about that job opening. So that's also very helpful resource for me. And one other thing is I did not land a job in last year's May. So last year was a little bit tough, and I keep searching for jobs after my graduation. And Sharon was there, always there for me, check on my status, help me prepare my interviews, answer all my questions. So love Sharon, she was so nice. Career coach are really very valuable resources for all of us.
Absolutely. Yep. And you'll keep if Sharon's your coach, she'll keep in contact with you past the program, which is Zoe. She was the one that said, go talk to Zoe. So yeah, she does know everybody. Great. So I'm going to rewind again and we'll go back to, if you guys wouldn't mind shedding a little bit of light on, what helped you come to the decision to pursue graduate school versus going straight to work.
Matt, you got it?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Dylan, you got it.
It's always the race to unmute, right?
Yeah, Matt, you got it.
Okay, cool. So as I kind of mentioned in my introduction, I was an accounting undergraduate. So I always knew if I was going to be a CPA, I was going to have to go to graduate school for at least a year just to get the credit hours I needed. And for a while, I thought I was going to do an MSA, which is a master's in accounting. But at the end of my senior year last year, I decided that, maybe it would be valuable to differentiate that skill set since I already had so many hours in accounting through my undergraduate, and didn't actually impact my ability at all to sit for the CPA exam. And I learned about the WAKE program, and they had a really, really good technical focus that I really was looking for at the time, and I've really enjoyed since coming. And I thought it would be a good fit, and I've been really happy with the decision.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it a little bit before, but mine was kind of a switch of careers almost. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, so I went right into admissions. Was really great. I got to talk to a lot of people. But then this program allowed me to go back to my roots a little bit more. Allowed me to go more into a math-centric kind of role. And plus it allowed me to basically just enhance those skills from my undergrad. I think especially now it's such a competitive landscape that any competitive edge that you can get, whether it be learning a new language, coding language, or just, learning different skill sets can really help out in any job search. So this program is great. I came on campus, felt right at home, was able to sit in actually on Dr. Claggett's class. And from that moment on, I was like, I'm sold.
Yeah, so I decided to go to Wake, like I guess in like October of of my senior year. I don't remember what was it, 2020. Anyway, or 2019, whatever year it was, my senior year. Yeah. So it was well before the pandemic began and quarantines began. And so I really decided to go because I was president of the student government at LaGrange College. And during homecoming week, I was like entertaining board of trustees members. And then one of them was like, oh, you should get your MBA at Wake, because he was a Wake alumni. And I was like, sure, sounds good to me. So, I mean, I hadn't even considered it at all. Looked at MBA and I was like, oh, what's this MSBA? And so then, yeah, here I am.
I might be a little different. So I originally want to go to law school. All 4 years, I was like, I'm going to law school, sat down, took the LSAT, had applications ready. But throughout my time as an econ major, I was exposed to kind of data analysis more in an economic sense. But I had a bunch of friends who went to another institution's program. And so they were talking to me like, you really love this, you love to do this. And so kind of last minute, I was able to pivot and able to apply a bunch of places. I applied to multiple institutions, but the thing with Wake was it's business analytics. I'm not sitting down at a computer all my life, typing out, doing data science. I'm doing business analytics. I'm talking to people, I'm making decisions. I'm translating what these numbers are, what the data science is, into actionable business value. And to me, that was super important. I like to talk to people. I like to be personal. And this was the perfect fit, the perfect program. And I don't know, I'm just really happy I came here.
Yep, my turn. So my undergraduate major was actuary science. So following that path, I will become an actuary analyst in an insurance company. But I also did several internships in my college. So I gradually discovered that my career interest more land in like a combination of both business and technologies. So that's the time I decided maybe I need to pursue a MSBA degree. And after I came to this MS degree, I get myself involved in all the coursework, I do find out the combination of business and analytics knowledge could let me go into a very broad career choices, such as marketing analyst, operation analyst, digital analyst, or like IT analyst, as I'm doing right now. Like after the MSBA program, you will be able to like apply for those job positions. Even now I'm in the IT team, but if I'm going to transfer future into like more biz role, like into a marketing analyst, I will be very like more confident to choose that because I get the knowledge in the MSBA program.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I'm going to just pitch again. If you guys have any questions, this is definitely the time to type it in the chat or unmute yourself. We'd love to meet you and ask any questions you have. You have a captive audience here. So we have a question in the chat. What the changes you guys have noticed happened after COVID for business analytics? It's kind of hard to say. I think Zoe, you might have the clearest sense of this because you experienced the program both completely on ground and completely online. I know our other guys have experienced it as we've kind of been trying to transition and hybrid back to normal. But if you could tell us about your experience, that would be great.
Okay, gotcha. I can speak a little about the retail industry as the Krispy Kreme it is in the retail industry as a food company. And for especially last year, the COVID-19 really damaged the whole economy. But Krispy Kreme sales was booming. Yeah, because of the e-commerce. Like people cannot go into the store in person, but the e-commerce sales was booming. That's why Krispy Kreme get more sales, better grade in last year. I think this must be the same to other like retail companies, maybe if they have the e-commerce services over there. It also helped my company to fasten our speed of immigration of all the IT system, because there's a increasing sharper needs for the e-commerce. So we need to put more, no matter money or investment or human capitals into this business, into the e-commerce. A project now I'm in is the global sales project. So I'm helping the IT actor, the IT system to be unified, to be more standard for our global sales, such as people, our shops in Africa, they can submit their retail sales grid to us more like smoother. So that's part of the IT architecture at the back end of a company that people at the front side of the business usually didn't notice. But fortunately, I am in the IT team, so I noticed that trend.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other questions?
Hi, can you guys hear me okay? Yeah, thanks. Well, first of all, thanks for taking the time to do this. I figured it'd just be better to say my question out loud than type in the chat. I was just kind of curious in terms of the course kind of calendar structure. Looking at it from the outside looking in, it seems like it's a lot of like sort of mini, I think they're called mini periods. They're kind of broken into smaller sections. I was wondering if any of you guys could speak to in general, like if you found it challenging to kind of handle that many different courses at once, and kind of your kind of experience with that.
Yeah, I can answer that. So coming from my undergrad, we only had 4 classes a semester. So it's pretty, regimented as it went along. And this is definitely a switch of pace with that. So you have to be on your toes and you have to be ready to, balance having multiple homework assignments due on a given night, or, balancing your homework assignments versus a specific project. But also you don't have class every day too. So we usually get Fridays off, which gives us like a 3-day weekend. So any like client meetings, any homework catch up, can usually be done on the weekends, which is really nice. Another really great thing about it too is that there's asynchronous work. So it may seem like, a whole course is in 8 weeks, and it is, but there's synchronous and asynchronous work. So a lot of it can be, watching videos online just to catch you up, taking notes on your free time. So it gives you that flexibility to really handle, all those 5 classes at once.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, to build on that, I would probably say the transition in the fall was tougher than the transition this spring, because in the spring semester, like you have a whole block of classes that end at once, and then your last mini semester begins. It's a whole new block. But in the fall semester, you have like 2 classes that are the whole way through, and then is it 3 and 2? I don't remember. Does anyone here remember?
I think it was 3 and 2.
Yeah, well, either way, like half of them switch to a new class and the other ones like are still the same class ongoing for the whole semester. And so it was kind of like difficult to switch up, because like maybe one class in the beginning of the fall wasn't as much of a workload, and then all of a sudden, I think that's actually what happened with machine learning, because it was the second half of the fall. And so it was replacing a class that wasn't that much, and then it became a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's not anything, it can't be done. So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Great questions. Any other questions we can cover? Awesome. Well, if you guys don't mind, I just want to finish with just one last question, and it's for you guys that have been able to join us on campus and be in Winston-Salem. What is Winston-Salem like? What's it like to be here? What's, what has that experience been like for you guys?
I'll start on that. I live in downtown. I'm off campus. Winston-Salem is, you come in, at least I came from Raleigh, a bigger city. I'm sure other people come from smaller towns, all this and that, but Winston is a lot bigger than you think. But at the same time, you're only 10 minutes from anything and everything possible. There's amazing food. The culinary scene here is awesome. There's so much to do. The bars, the breweries, there's so many breweries. If you like beer, you're in the right place. There's just so many activities. At the same time, you're only 10 minutes from campus at any given point. It's growing so much. I can see in the next 10 years it being such a big hub for a variety of different things, especially Lake Forest here. It's a fun town. And I came in with friends from here, since I'm from North Carolina, being like, you're not going to like Winston-Salem. You're from Raleigh. You're from a bigger city. You're not going to like it. And I got to say, I really love it. I'm having a great time here. I'm going to miss it.
Yeah, probably my favorite thing about Winston-Salem, or I guess Wake Forest specifically, is the upper quad area, like right in front of the chapel. There's like this big green grass lawn area. Like now that the sun's shining, it's like 75. I'll just start walking around the quad, just feeling the vibes. Just hang out, listen to the birds chirp. You know, the grass is green. The chapel looks good. It's a beautiful scene. And so actually, so like I said, I'm from Dothan, Alabama, which is like South Alabama. And so I never even been skiing before. And so Sugar Mountain is like an hour and like 15, maybe an hour 30 away from here. So I went skiing like twice, and that was pretty fun. So like that's nearby. So it's cool, like living like close to the mountains and also close to the beach. So yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, I grew up in, like I said, Jersey, but I drive 10 minutes and I can see like the New York City skyline. So like coming down to Winston, it's definitely not as big as New York City, easily manageable to kind of walk downtown, go check one restaurant, or if you want to go like bar hopping or anything, you can easily do that as well. As Jacob said, really great brewery scene, really great restaurants. And there's a lot of like living places downtown too. So if you want to experience that, apartment living, Plan 64 is a really great option for you. The Link apartments are really great options for you. If you want to choose like university housing, there's tons of it. Dylan lives in that. And then I live in a apartment complex that isn't downtown, but still about 10 minutes away from campus. So lots of different kind of places with that. And then one thing I want to add on to Dylan's thing is, he did a tour of Wake Forest campus and like Farrell Hall, which is our business building. If you can find the video of that, highly recommend checking it out. I'm pretty sure he trips and falls on the curb halfway through. So if you want a good laugh, just check that out.
I have that video if anybody wants it.
Yeah, I almost forgot about that video, actually. I was like, where is he going with this? But yeah, I shot a video. I think it's on the Instagram page too. It's like, I don't even want to butcher the handle, but I'm sure you guys, have seen the handle for Instagram. But yeah.
Yep. Winston-Salem is not that big city, but there's definitely a lot of fun for us to explore. There's a lot of mountains near here. So the Pylon Mountain, the Hanging Rock. I love hiking, so I always go to those places with my friends. Secondly, near our campus, there's like a Renoda Garden, the Renoda Village. So that's a beautiful place with some trails. You can walk there, run there. A lot of like Wake Forest students are running there every day, and some very delicious restaurants over there too. And in the downtown place, yes, a lot of breweries. I really recommend the Rida Brewery. There's a Japanese food truck there Friday and Saturday. It's very delicious. Definitely need to try it.
Well, I think everybody's hit on some really good points with Winston. I'll add one more thing. I live actually right next to campus and graduate housing. And I've also visited the downtown places like some of these guys live, and they're really nice. But if you want like a really affordable option, the graduate housing is pretty good too. And since it's like a 3-minute walk to campus, it's really close to class, and there's tons of great places to enjoy the outdoors. Kind of like Dylan mentioned, I've been kind of walking around doing the same thing because it's been so nice recently. They have really good outdoor tracks and stuff too that you could run on or exercise. So like, there's a lot of places to enjoy.
Awesome. Thanks everyone so much for joining us today, whether it's evening, morning for anyone. We really appreciate your time, especially big thanks to our panelists. I know you guys are busy. Matt, I know you have your practicum tomorrow, so I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Give us a little bit of insight on your guys' experience, Zoe, as well. Thank you to all of our panelists, and I'm going to drop my email just in the chat. So if anybody has any follow-up questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Always happy to help. And other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.